My name is Benjamin Pompa. I'm an account manager here in Houston Gulf Coast region, and I lead up one of the team members that helps a lot of the oil and gas customers or industrial manufacturing facilities here in this area. I wanted to talk a little bit about a customer of ours that we helped guide through the different options and upgrading standardization in field, as well as work with them one-on-one to help update their cybersecurity controls and really give them visibility into an upstream application that they are working into. Once we kind of introduced that our ability to really kind of bridge the gap between the people that were in Houston with IT and the people that were in the oil fields and doing OT, they really started to see advantages to how we can really get something big started. So the initial challenges that they laid out for us was having a number of devices in the field that were all different. They lacked visibility and wanted to develop a risk model in the future where they could kind of identify and understand what they needed to lock down and bridge to. And they've been trying a number of different applications out there and really wanted to look at cyber vision as a solution just based on their feel for different fields that they had already experienced and dived into it a little bit with these IE 3300s that were standardized with them at the time. So looking at it, well, one of the things that INS did was brought Ethan along, and Ethan was very critical in helping us guide the conversation. He was able to talk to the OT members in the field and let them know exactly how we would deploy this with different servers, different application appliances in the field that would need to be updated. And one thing we looked at is having to service so many different sites that would require an IE 3300. We needed a solution where we could help them configure those switches inside a lab and get them shipped directly to those locations that are in a remote area.
My name is Ethan Gray. I've worked for INS for the better part of 8 years now. I am a solution sales engineer specializing in networking and cybersecurity. If you don't know what that means, that really just means when it comes time for a solution for how you're going to get your data out of your plant or you're going to get your plant functioning, that's where I come in. My perspective on working with this company was that they had acquired many new assets that are very geologically dispersed. And what that means is that without having a massive workforce to go out and physically inspect every new production facility, what you have to do is find a way to virtually inspect these facilities, virtually quantify and assess. What we provided was a methodology of doing that through technology they were already going to have anyway. So what our solution provided them was the requirements of cybersecurity, asset identification, and quantification.
Typically, you would have to have some type of facility where the operators would take those switches and then install them into the different oil well facilities where they keep a lot of their OT network and have PLCs that communicate back and forth. We encourage them to look at our engineering team. The encouragement for the engineering team was based on our engineers having the experience to configure a number of switches very quickly. They were able to take all of those files that they sent over to us that were shared and look at those files, upload them into the proper firmware, and get them all deployed in a certain number of months. From there, we started off working on the kickoff calls to help them guide the project as we kind of consistently went through a number of details with them that needed to be updated as far as receiving the equipment, how we were going to help them with their router configuration. The customer did have a number of PEP links that they chose to use in the field. One thing that we did when we helped them set up the PEP links is we shared files across with that configuration as well. So we were not only able to actually help them with their Cisco switches, but we were able to help them with the routers. And they found out that through INS, they can actually update a lot of their licensing and their modeling with us. So there was another good obstacle that they were having issues with in the field where they could bring it all in one house with INS, and we could consistently and repeatedly help them so that they could reduce any type of issues with getting into those routers.
The Cisco solution was the best fit in this case because it minimized the amount of hardware that was needed in the facilities. And because of the capability that we have and being able to match their use case, we were actually able to do a much more rapid deployment at scale without sacrificing the quality or the validation of the configurations. The way the Cisco solution works is that if you have an IE 33, 34, or 3500, you can do Docker containerization of certain programs. And the way Cisco Cybervision works is we actually take what you would call the network sniffer, or the utility that's actually taking all the data and compressing it and sending it up to a server to be analyzed. The switch does that as well, instead of the other solutions that are currently exist either require you to have a separate networking technique called span or R-spanning, which is effectively duplicating your hardware needs, or at least your media needs, to get data back to a server that then does these interrogations. What Cisco allows you to do is the same switch you were going to use anyway, you're using it to also achieve the same function for the cybersecurity purposes.
What ended up happening after all of this, really from the deployment of the switches, was we got all of their hardware out to them. We've helped them design and set up their server to communicate between Cybervision and their networks. It was great to see the ability of the customer really take the reins and really do a lot with Ethan.
The real problem that I saw that they were really going to run into was visibility of new assets, quantification. We solved that, but we also gave them security, which they weren't even asking for originally. Security came up after we had already discussed the solution with them. They wanted security, but I think in their head, they knew they weren't going to get it before with other solutions. We were able to provide things that they needed and the things that they wanted and things they didn't even know were possible.
They're so amazing of a client because they're so well versed and the knowledge is amazing. So partnering that knowledge with INS engineers and INS managers that can kind of come in and kind of get this, across the finish line is something that we really enjoyed doing with them, and we'll continue to reach out in the future. The customers' long-term plans are going to be to, look at different assets that they could purchase in the fields, look at other areas that have already been purchased and see where INS can kind of come in, help validate designs, help, again, deliver more than just a box, but really design a full solution that's driven by their vision and their ideas, so that ultimately the wells never go down. The operators are always working hard and have less to worry about, and everybody can know that these are safe from different actors out there that are trying to break in.